babhuvatuhu. Evam vrajaukasam pritim yacchantau balachashtitaihi kalavakyaisvakalena vatsapalau 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 babhuvatuhu. Padapataha. Nobody wants to repeat that? Okay. Evam, in this way, Vrajaokasam, all the inhabitants of Vraja, Pritim, pleasure, Yachantau, giving, Balacheshtitaihi, by the activities and pastimes of childhood, Kalavakyaihi, and by very sweet broken language, Swakalina, in due course of time, Vatsapalo, to take care of the calves, Babhuvatuhu, were grown up, became. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. In this way, Krishna and Balaram, acting like small boys and talking in half-broken language, gave transcendental pleasure to all the inhabitants of Vraja. In due course of time, they became old enough to take care of the calves. Purport. As soon as Krishna and Balaram were a little grown up, they were meant for taking care of the calves. Although born of a very well-to-do family, they still had to take care of the calves. This was the system of education. Those who were not born in Brahmana families were not meant for academic education. The Brahmanas were trained in a literary academic education. The Kshatriyas were trained up to take care of the state, and the Vaishyas learned how to cultivate the land and take care of the cows and calves. There was no need to waste time going to school to be falsely educated and later increase the numbers of the unemployed. Krishna and Balaram taught us by their personal behavior. Krishna took care of the cows and played his flute. And Balaram took care of agricultural activities with a plow in his hand. So, some devotees would have us believe that because this happened in the remote past, it is not applicable to our present circumstances. I don't accept that view. Especially in Prabhupada's purports, Prabhupada was talking about the contemporary situation, what is happening now. But in order to, unfortunately, the power of Maya is very strong. The power of Maya. What is the power of Maya? Well, the power of Maya is illusion. Maya means illusion. To throw under cover? To throw us, the jivas. You mean the jivas, right. So, Lord Krishna describes 4 kinds of demoniac persons. Namam dushkritino mudha prapadyante naradhamaha mayaya apahrita jnana asurim bhavam ashritaha. So this means not mam to me. Dushkritinaha, those who do bad things. Kriti is a thing to do. Dush means difficult or bad. Namam dushkritinaha mudha, foolish persons. Namam dushkritino mudha prapadyante naradhamaha. So prapadyante means surrender. Namam prapadyante, they do not surrender to me. Chaturvidha bhajante mam janaha sukritino arjuna. There are 4 pious people that surrender to me and 4 impious. Fools, Krishna says fools in Gita. Namam dushkritinaha mudha prapadyante naradhamaha. Naradhama means the lowest of men. Mayaya apahrita jnana. Their knowledge is stolen by illusion. Asurim bhavam ashritaha, who take shelter of the nature of demons. So these 4 types don't surrender to Krishna. So one of them is Mayaya, by Maya, apahrita jnana. The knowledge that they have is stolen by illusion. Now here in the purport, Prabhupada condemns modern education. Wholesale. I am not condemning modern education. Prabhupada condemned modern education. But that effort has borne only a little fruit. We have to be honest. We have to be honest with ourselves. The vast majority of the world is enamored by this modern education. And modern education, along with that, there are modern concepts of morality. Recently, the Indian Supreme Court, which has no jurisdiction in this country, ruled that a man and a woman can live together without being married, and it's not wrong. Now, according to Prabhupada, a man and a woman who have a sexual relationship are married. Not according to Prabhupada, according to Vedic culture. It's called Gandharva Vivaha. They put a garland on each other and they're married. Marriage usually means, the Vedic concept of marriage means that there's a fire sacrifice, there's a whole procedure. Here Prabhupada talks about Brahmin families, those who are born in Brahmin families and those who are not born in Brahmin families. So, one thing we should understand, to be born in a Brahmin family is the result of good karma, pious activity, sukritinaha, someone who did something good. Right? Prabhupada says that one who doesn't finish yoga brashta, his yoga is broken. Suchinam Srimatam Gehe, he's born in a family, Suchinam, those who are purified, Brahmanas. It's taken to mean Brahmanas, born in a Brahmin family. Prabhupada subscribed to this concept of, that's the concept, the Vedic concept, the concept taught in Gita. Suchinam Srimatam. Srimatam means wealthy. They may be born in a Brahmin family or they may be born in a wealthy family who didn't finish practicing yoga. Now, Brahmin family, why is it glorified? Just because your name is Mr. Acharya or Dvivedi, Trivedi, Chaturvedi, or whatever. Brahmins have many names in India. There are many names for Brahmins, Joshi, Pandit, Sharma, Vyas, but, I mean, we could write a book about the names. I'm sure the books have been written by academics. So just because you were born in a Brahmin family is not a qualification. It's a result of pious activity. But what was the benefit of being born in a Brahmin family? Vedic education. Vedic education. Not, of course, there are certain, like Brahmins are vegetarians. They don't eat onions and garlic. Nowadays, you know, people are transgressing. But the old culture, and many people still follow. That's why there's a lot of, even though people, Brahmins should not eat in a restaurant, but there's a lot of restaurants that are vegetarian, and some of them even have no onions and no garlic. There's a lot of them that don't. But Brahmins shouldn't go out and eat in a restaurant. But because the culture was there that somebody should not eat non-vegetarian food because it's in the mode of ignorance. So the benefit of being born in a Brahmin family was you were taught from the childhood these principles. And the benefit of studying Vedas, the Vedic educational system, the Vedic educational syllabus, not modern academic education. Prabhupada writes, the Brahmanas were trained in a literary academic education, but the syllabus was different. It wasn't what they study today in the universities and in modern education, whether it's here or whether it's in India or Europe or any place. Because those who go to the modern education, they are trained to believe that your father's 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 father was a monkey. Yes, we descended from the monkeys. That's what they're teaching. We've never seen two monkeys produce a human being. We haven't seen it. But that's what they're teaching. What else are they teaching? They're teaching the modern concept of morality. And what is the result of this modern concept of morality? May I read from Prabhupada's purport to Bhagavad Gita 16:7. If you don't mind, it's Prabhupada. There he is, there he is. He's on our left, he's on our right. Those who are demoniac. Oh, let me read the Sanskrit. Pravrittim cha nivrittim cha jana navidurasuraha. What to do and what not to do, the asuras, they don't know. What is proper behavior and what is improper behavior. Na shocham na pichacharo na satyam teshu vidyate. Na socham, suchinam. It's the same word, right? Suchinam, of the pure. Na socham, not pure. Let me read the purport. English translation. Those who are demoniac do not know what is to be done and what is not to be done. Neither cleanliness nor proper behavior nor truth is found in them. Suchinam Srimatam, you get a good birth, you get training what is to be done properly from the childhood. If you're born in a Brahmin family, as it's mentioned in today's verse. And if you're born in a Malecha and Yavana family, like we are, except for you. You look like you come from India. But we are, the rest of us sitting in this room today. There were a couple other Indian devotees, but they went out. And anyway, we are born in very fallen families. We were given the wrong training. We were trained to eat non-vegetarian food. We were trained to drink alcohol. You know, when we were children, if I wanted to drink alcohol, my mother used to go out and buy me alcohol because I wasn't old. I joined ISKCON when I was 17. What's the age limit here? 21? Yeah, you can't buy alcohol in Illinois unless you're 21. So I was quite far away from that. So we are Malechas and Yavanas. And in our Malecha and Yavana society, there are certain concepts which clash with the Vedic concepts. And those concepts, among them there is egalitarianism. We are all equal. But we're not equal. Someone is older, someone is younger. The younger generation, when we were young, 50 years ago, we were trained not to respect our elders. It was very popular in society. The old people don't know what they're doing. This was the kind of propaganda that was being made. And you know, Prabhupada describes when Lord Krishna met the Pandavas, he bowed down, he touched the feet of Yudhishthira and Bhima because they were elder to him. He embraced Arjuna and he blessed the twins because they were younger. So this seniority of age was a part of Vedic culture. So to say that all human beings are equal, it seems to be very nice. And this is a part of Western morality. But actually, Vedic culture means Varnashram Dharma. And Varnashram Dharma means Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. Prabhupada describes that today, in today's purport. There are different parts of the body, the head, the arms, the stomach, and the legs. They don't have the same function, but they're part of the same body. Without the brain, the body cannot live. But without an arm and without a leg, the body lives. There are even pictures of people with no arms and no legs, such unfortunate souls. Unfortunate. So we should not let the principles of modern education and modern morality guide us as devotees. We should be guided by the Vedic principles. Prabhupada stresses it. So I didn't read the purport of Bhagavad Gita 16:7, with your permission. In every civilized human society, there is some set of scriptural rules and regulations which is followed from the beginning of society, right? especially among the Aryans, those who adopt the Vedic civilization and who are known as the most advanced civilized peoples. Those who do not follow the scriptural injunctions are supposed to be demons. So Prabhupada makes a distinction between the Vedic society, and the people that follow the Vedic society are the Aryans, not the Germans. Hitler said the Germans are Aryans. Hitler propagated nationalism. The Vedic culture does not propagate nationalism. But nowadays, nationalism, that's why we had passports and visas and rules and regulations residing in different countries, because of nationalism. Otherwise, it didn't exist. It's not part of Vedic culture. Civilized people had some rules and regulations. So now people will say, well, that's nationalism. You know, every country adopts a constitution. You know, England has no constitution, right? Did you know that? Now you know. Yeah, England doesn't have a constitution. They don't have, they have rules and regulations, but they don't have a formal constitution. But they had the Magna Carta, if you've heard of that. But that's not a legal basis for the legal basis is monarchy. Not the legal basis is not the Magna Carta also. But they take it into consideration. So every country is adopting a constitution, more or less, except for England. All the other countries have a constitution, and they keep changing that constitution. For instance, in Russia, they overthrew the monarchy and established communism, and that also was abolished almost 30 years ago, 29 years ago. And then they adopted a new constitution. For example, India adopted a constitution in 1947 or 48. That's 70 years ago. And the United States adopted a constitution, what is it, 200 and, who's up on their American history here? 225 years ago or something. So all of these constitutions are man-made. They're not the Vedic civilization. It's not Vedic. And so Prabhupada, anyway, he says that every human society, there is some sort of scriptural rules. Now, these constitutions, you can argue it's not scriptural, it's not from religion. Originally, morality was based on religion. Then Prabhupada talks about the Aryans, Vedic civilization. Those who do not follow the principles of religion are demons. Scriptural injunctions, he says, are demons, supposed to be demons. They may behave very nicely with you. Right? And yesterday I saw the lines in the airport for purchasing, you know, non-vegetarian food are a lot longer than, you know, the lines of people who want to come in and hear the Bhagavatam and have a darshan of the deities. Unfortunately, that's the situation in this Mleccha and Yavana land. So they are supposed to be demons. They don't follow the scriptural rules, but they're nice people. You can talk to them and have a conversation and get help. Yesterday we were searching for a store where we didn't have the address, and we went into a shop, and a nice young African-American person, a nice young guy, you know, younger than our Jai Baladev, he must have been in his 20s. He immediately looked on his telephone, immediately, you know, he helped me, he was nice. I'm sure he's a non-vegetarian, because that's what everybody here is. And they don't follow the scriptural injunctions. They don't get up early and come to Mangalarati or whatever the scriptural injunctions are. We have 4 regulated principles. Most of the people drink and eat meat, so they're demons. We are born in the families of demons. So Prabhupada further says in the purport, I'm reading the purport of Bhagavad Gita 16:7. Therefore it is stated, most of them do not know, wait a minute, excuse me. Therefore it is stated here that the demons do not know the scriptural rules, nor do they have any inclination to follow them. So most of society here, they don't follow these scriptural rules. No meat eating, no illicit sex, no gambling, no intoxication. Look at the gambling industry. Oh my God. You know, the other day, because I was passing my time on the internet, I saw this 60 Minutes show. You know 60 Minutes? It's like a news magazine, right? The Michigan State and the Massachusetts State instituted a lottery, right? A lot of Hindus are selling these lottery tickets in gas stations, right? So there was a mathematical genius who was an ordinary, like a farmer or something in Michigan, in a town, not in a big city. And he understood that if he bought a lot of lottery tickets, the winnings would be more than the investment in the tickets. This is documented, and he paid taxes. He earned millions of dollars. But Michigan shut down the lottery. But then they found out that Massachusetts had instituted the same lottery. And what he did is he got investments from people in the town, ordinary people. Same time, a group of students at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology understood the same thing was happening. And both of them formed companies and were buying these lottery tickets in the millions of dollars. And they earned, and then there was an investigation done. And the investigation showed that they were not cheating. They did nothing wrong, illegal. And they made millions of dollars in the gambling business. So interesting how, not everybody, right? Not everybody could understand it. Only these two groups. Thank you. So, like I said, asuras may be nice people, but they don't know what to do and what not to do. And that Mahabharata story where Draupadi was lost by the Pandavas and everything was lost shows the wickedness and the evil of gambling. So they shouldn't have done it. Now Krishna was personally present and blessed them, that's a different story. But we shouldn't make an excuse. Oh, Krishna blessed the Pandavas even though they were gamblers, so we can all be gamblers and Krishna will bless us. But Prabhupada, in his purport here, he's condemning it. Just like he's condemning modern education. But we all think modern education is wonderful. So Prabhupada says that they have no faith, talking about the demons, and they are not willing to act in terms of, they have no faith, nor are they willing to act in terms of the Vedic injunctions. The demons are not clean, either externally or internally. One should always be careful to keep his body clean by bathing, brushing teeth, shaving, changing clothes, etc. As far as internal cleanliness is concerned, one should always remember the holy names of God and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The demons neither like nor follow all these rules for external and internal cleanliness. As for behavior, there are many rules and regulations guiding human behavior, such as the Manu Samhita. So we talked about the Magna Carta being, England doesn't have a constitution, they have the Magna Carta. And many countries have a constitution, but the Vedic civilization, there was no constitution. There are the Dharma Shastras, the laws, and Manu Samhita is the most prominent. It's more commonly known as Manu Smriti. So Prabhupada wrote, which is the law of the human race. So according to Prabhupada and Vedic civilization, the Vedic concept, the law book for humanity, the constitution is the Manu Samhita. Even up to today, those who are Hindu follow the Manu Samhita. So Prabhupada is advocating that we should follow the Manu Samhita. What did I say? Manu Samhita, Manu Smriti. So that means that there's those who follow Vedic civilization. Hindu is just another word for Vedic. It's a synonym of Vedic. Hindu, Vedic, Sanatan Dharma, Indian, it means Vedic culture. So, Prabhupada mentions laws of inheritance and other legalities are derived from this book. Now, in the Manu Samhita, it is clearly stated that a woman should not be given freedom. Why is Prabhupada writing that suddenly? Right? I didn't write it. I'm just reading from the Gita written by Prabhupada, his commentary. That does not mean that women are to be kept as slaves, but they are like children. Children are not given freedom, but that does not mean they are kept as slaves. The demons have now neglected such injunctions, and they think that women should be given as much freedom as men. However, this has not improved the social condition of the world. So Prabhupada had a different concept. The Vedic culture has a different concept. Prabhupada didn't invent his own idea of culture and civilization. He was a representative of the Vedic culture and civilization. So, Prabhupada wanted us in the modern times, now, not in the past. Someone will argue, and they are arguing. Someone will argue, and they are arguing that what Prabhupada wrote was for the past. And you know what I say? Humbug. Humbug. That's not a Sanskrit word. It's an English word. And it means nonsense. Nonsense. That's what it means. Someone shouted at me nonsense. This was 5 or 6 years ago in Mayapur. When I said that maybe I better not say it. Maybe I'll talk in private because I don't want to be too controversial. But I just want to say that what Prabhupada wrote here was for the present, not for the past. He was writing his purports to guide human society now and for the next 10,000 years. That's what he said. It's very famous. But there are devotees who are writing. I can produce the letters. Well, Prabhupada meant something for a very bygone age. Nonsense. Humbug. See what let's read it again, what Prabhupada wrote. The demons have now neglected such injunctions. He could have written, the demons neglected the injunctions millions of years ago, but now they're following them. Now means now. Now doesn't mean in the Satya Yuga or the Treta Yuga or the Dwapara Yuga. Now means the Kali Yuga, right now. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? He's writing, he says, therefore, the demons have now neglected such injunctions, and they think women should be given as much freedom as men. Actually, a woman should be given protection at every stage of life. She should be given protection by the father in her younger days, by the husband in her youth, and by the grown-up sons in her old age. Not that the mother should be put into assisted living. Everyone, how many people in this country are put into assisted living? Lots. Most of them. I didn't say that, you said it. I didn't say it. But it's wrong. The children were supposed to look after their parents. The children are supposed to look after the parents. That's the Vedic culture. There were no assisted living homes in India. There were no hospitals and there were no universities. It's all an imitation of the culture of the demons. Says who? Says Prabhupada. Says Vedic culture. This is proper social behavior according to the Manu Samhita. Prabhupada quotes Manu Samhita as an authority. And I have a godbrother who's not in ISKCON. He's an independent householder. And he doesn't live in the temple. And he says, no, the Manu Samhita says that we're all Malechas and Yavanas. We can never become Brahmanas. But then why did Bhaktisiddhanta and Prabhupada give initiation, Brahman initiation? So he disagrees with Prabhupada. He's a disciple of Prabhupada. How can you be a disciple and disagree with your teacher? How is it possible? Prabhupada says here, proper social behavior according to the Manu Samhita is for a child to look after his parents, especially his mother, especially his mother. But modern education has artificially devised a puffed up concept of womanly life, and therefore marriage is practically now an imagination in human society. Prabhupada would have written marriage was imagination in the past, but he said now. And that was 50 years ago. It's gotten worse. It's gotten worse. The demons, therefore, do not accept any instruction which is good for society, and because they do not follow the experience of great sages and the rules and regulations laid down by the sages, the social condition of the demoniac people is very miserable. How does this relate to today's purport? Prabhupada condemned modern education, and in this purport he also condemns. He says, due to modern education. And modern education is spreading like wildfire. And atheism is spreading like wildfire because of modern education. Krishna and Balaram at first were raised by Vaishyas, and Prabhupada writes, there was no need to waste time going to school to be falsely educated and later increase the numbers of the unemployed. Better they should have learned how to farm. Prabhupada wanted farming communities. So somebody told me, you are propagating this idea, you go and live on the farm. Someone told me like that. You go and show by example, go and live on the farm. Well then, you should also go. Before you tell me to go, you should go. The Prabhupada didn't live on a farm. Prabhupada didn't live on the farm. But he propagated that that was the ideal life. You may say, how do I know? You may say, how do I know? Can I answer? Because our god brother Yadubara, you know Yadubara Prabhu? No, you don't know him? Yadubara Prabhu? Yeah, Jai Baladev, you know? You know him? You know the movie Hare Krishna People? The World of Hare Krishna? You never heard of Yadubara? Wow. He makes all the movies, right? Hare Krishna People. He made that movie in 1974. And then it got updated later on. And then he made a movie called The Spiritual Frontier about New Vrindavan. You never saw that? Never saw that movie, huh? I had that movie in 1976 in Bombay, and I asked Prabhupada, can I show this movie to your guests? There were 3 very rich people who came to have lunch with Prabhupada. Well, they came to meet Prabhupada, and he invited them for lunch. 2 of them were Birlas. One was the wife of Birla, and one was the daughter of Birla. You heard of the Birla family? It's like, Bill Gates' family, something like that. One of the richest families of India. And one other industrialist who was a Gujarati who nobody would have heard his name because he wasn't as famous as the Birla family. All over India, but you didn't go to India yet. Birlas have made temples. They're called the Birla temples. And in Hyderabad, they made a Balaji temple. You know, Balaji is Krishna. And in Vrindavan, between Vrindavan and Mathura, they have a temple. And in, where else? In Kanpur, that's not Birla. In Calcutta, there's a Birla temple. So they made different temples all over India. And they're very famous because they were very rich. And so they made temples. Hindu temples, Krishna temples. So I asked Prabhupada, I have this movie in a briefcase projector. At that time, like now you have a laptop and you can show. At that time there was a briefcase and you put a cassette. An 8mm movie was shown on the screen. That was the beginning of technology. How many years ago is that? 1976, 43 years ago. Fairchild, that was the company. Fairchild Company. So Prabhupada said, yes, show them the movie. And the movie was about New Vrindavan. And Kirtanananda was in charge of New Vrindavan. He was, a senior sannyasi at the time in ISKCON. So in the movie he says, Prabhupada told us to live simply, depend on Krishna and the cows. So this was the propaganda that was made in the movie, to live on a, agrarian life, a rural lifestyle. Prabhupada didn't live in a rural lifestyle. He didn't. He lived an urban lifestyle. But there's an ideal. He was preaching the ideal. And Vedic culture has a certain ideal how we should all behave. Not only how women should behave, how a Brahmana should behave, how a Kshatriya. This is here. Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya. In today's purport, I am giving a topical talk on what is written by Prabhupada. I haven't changed the subject. I'm speaking on the subject. Sticking to the script. What is here? But it is very difficult. It is very difficult to follow. Instead of saying, it's very difficult, I can't follow, they're actually trying to, there are a number of devotees that would like us to change the definition of what Prabhupada and the Vedic scriptures teach. This is wrong. This I object. If you say it's very difficult to follow, I can't live on a farm, and I don't have any practice, I don't know farming techniques, I don't know how to plant cauliflower. Okay, we're weak, we're not ideal. But if you say that Prabhupada taught something else, then you're changing the ideology, you're changing the philosophy, and that's very dangerous. What is it? Yeah, Sometimes Prabhupada said, pour water in the milk to get more milk. Because if you only have a little quantity of milk, then you can't nourish many people. But he also said to boil the milk, because water in milk is not milk. It's adulterated. So this is going on. There is an adulteration. Prabhupada wrote this, but actually modern society is something else. He wasn't talking about modern society, he was talking about society thousands of years ago. It's nonsense. It's wrong. You're changing what he's teaching. Think about it. But some people, we live in an age when, in Kali Yuga. But besides Kali Yuga, there are the other factors. False ego. I am the most learned. And so I don't have to hear from anyone else. I don't have to hear what you have to say, because I know everything. Well, if it conforms to what Vedic literature teaches and what Prabhupada taught, what you have to say is welcome. But if you think that you're a very learned scholar and you can contradict what Prabhupada taught or what Vedas taught, well, wait a minute. There's more from this book, and it's from the same chapter. The 16th chapter. Text number 23. Wow. Yaha shastra vidim utsrijya vartate kamakarataha nasa siddhim avapnoti nasukam na paragatim. He who discards scriptural injunctions and acts according to his own whims attains neither perfection nor happiness nor the supreme destination. So it's very easy to try and twist the meaning of the verses and, come up with another idea that contradicts what Prabhupada taught. Because there are a number of devotees who will say, well, we cannot follow Varnashram. We're not following Varnashram. Varnashram is impractical. Varnashram is the caste system. It is the caste system. Prabhupada says it. He has written it. Now those quotes are not in my head, but it's there. And even in today's verse, one who's born in a Brahmin family is exalted. He did something good. It is the caste system. The British wanted to give the caste system a bad name and establish Christianity in India. They did their best in 200 years, and now it's bearing fruit because the Indians are imitating the West. They may not become, there are a lot of people becoming Christians by bribery. That's another story. So one who does not follow the scriptural injunctions cannot be happy or perfect or get liberation. So they can change. Yeah, they could argue Prabhupada didn't say that we should follow Varnashram Dharma. They will give so many arguments, but Prabhupada says Vedic culture, Vedic system, Varnashram Dharma. He says it many, many places. So, okay, we're weak, but not that it's wrong. Hare Krishna. Any questions? Lord Krishna himself displayed the ideal way of life in Vedic culture. So we should argue that somehow we can't do that today. They could do it only 5,000 years ago. No. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hopefully this mic is stay on. So, thank you for your class, and thank you for blessing us with your presence in Chicago. And this is your last day here, so next time we see you, we're very grateful for your service, and as far as throughout the years of being Prabhupada disciple. My question one thing that came to mind regarding your class is, I can't reference it now, I wrote it down, I'm a writer, I'm not a memorizer, I'm a writer. But this one statement from, this was mentioned in Bhaktisiddhanta Vaibhav, and I heard it in other places too. Like I said, I wrote it down, but one thing I appreciated, something that Bhaktisiddhanta says, actually. He made the distinction between platform speakers and those who basically tutor, teachers and tutors. He gave the analogy that platform speakers or teachers, they're like doctors. They give general diagnosis. Tutors are like, however, they're like the doctors who have people who have family doctors. Even though if you go to a doctor or a pharmacy, it's not that you could pick up any medicine, because any medicine.
The battery is gone, yeah. You want to take this mic? You can use this mic if you want. You feel comfortable.
Tendra said I don't need one. So he says private tutors, they give specific prescriptions, because if you go to the hospital, there's so many medicines. However, you need a doctor to personally prescribe a particular. So when we hear Vedic culture, we hear so many different, aspects of it. And one thing that came to mind regarding this point is that we hear that Prabhupada also says that women shouldn't divorce their husbands. And there is one purport in the 7th canto. I think the title of it is Varnashram Dharma, where Prabhupada says, actually, if a husband is found to be not following the principles, then she can't separate from her husband. Like I said, I could reference this also. This is 7th canto. And we see in the pastime of Nishingadev, Nishingadev performed the divorce ceremony for Hiranyakashipu. Prahlad's wife was more or less a devotee, and Prahlad was a devotee, but Hiranyakashipu wasn't. So Nishingadev performed a divorce ceremony. And so we see in this incident, Prahlad, even though he was a child also, he was older in wisdom, whereas Hiranyakashipu was an adult, but he was like a child. You said women shouldn't be given freedom, but apparently Hiranyakashipu shouldn't have been given freedom. He was like the child in this incident. And also in the chapter of delivering the wives of the Brahmana, in that chapter is described that Yeah. Okay, I'll just end it with my last question.
See, there was no divorce ceremony as such. Let's deal with that. Prabhupada said no divorce. It doesn't mean a man can divorce a woman also. That's wrong. It's not that always the woman is wrong. I'm not saying that. But Nrsimha didn't perform a divorce ceremony. Like a marriage ceremony, there's a divorce ceremony, it doesn't exist. He killed Hiranyakashipu, so, his wife became a widow, not a divorcee, as such, right? Now let's get that clear. Let's get that clear. Prabhupada said no divorce, and he said a widow can remarry on 2 conditions. This is Vedic culture. If the woman never saw her husband. Now, how is that? Westerners can't understand that, but I'll explain. Because the marriages were performed when they were small children, and so there was no illicit sex. I mean, nowadays they want to taste the product before they buy the product, but that's nonsense. That's not the Vedic culture. You understand my point? So I just wanted to clarify that, because you're good. Your questions are good. They bring about a lot of thoughtfulness. But if you go on too long, then it's hard to focus on, the first thing. So, yeah, Vedic culture, there's no divorce. Separation you mentioned, and Prabhupada wrote that. Separation does not mean divorce. And if you live in India, you would see that every marriage is not perfect. And sometimes when there is a clash, the woman would leave the husband and go to her father or her brother. And sometimes when the woman, most of the time, the woman would go back to the husband and reconcile. You understand? There were some cases where the husband really was, a rascal. And so the woman wouldn't go back to him, but she would never remarry. She would never remarry. But now it's like drinking a glass of water. Now, is that good? No, it's not Vedic culture. You're violating 1623 scriptural injunctions. But we can't force, because we see many in ISKCON divorces and remarriages over here. And it's creeping into India also, creeping. It's very uncommon because the culture didn't allow it. It was not allowed. So people didn't do it. And if it was an intolerable situation, and there are stories like that. Mostly it all works out. But in some cases, they stayed with their father or their brother. They didn't live independently, like in this country. And now this independence, Prabhupada condemned it. So how can you say, no, it's okay, it's modern society? Then Prabhupada wasn't just talking to the wind or talking to the walls. You understand my point? Okay, next question. Wait, someone else has a question. Let him. But, yeah, it doesn't work. You have to use this mic.
Yeah, and I'm giving you.
That doesn't work. That doesn't work.
This is not working.
Yeah.
Thank you, Basughosh, for the class. You talk about the Carta Magna that was written in 1215, 803 years ago, and it's still current. What wasn't current was the education back then that was based on the trivium and the quadrivium. That is why trivial comes from. There was rhetoric, grammar, and something else I don't remember. And the quadrivium was astronomy, mathematics, geometry, and anatomy, which were absolutely fundamental in the education of the beginning of education back in the Middle Ages. It was a humanistic education, very much like the education that we're expecting. Modern times, education is based on covering job market, is qualifying cheap labor. And since you were mentioning really important how politically the states became and creating borders and constitutions and laws that can be easily breakable and modified according to the needs of the people to subdue the rest of the humankind, because the people that is in power want to be in power, is when the whole thing changes. But not always the Western world was so aloof and lost and everything. As I'm saying, the Middle Ages was really important, first because it was a God-centered society. And secondly, because it was a humanistic thing. Feudal management was very much like the Varnashram ashram that Vedic literature establishes. It's quite similar, not exactly, but it was kind of like the same, I would say. So modern times is really modern. It's really right now.
Muchas gracias. The Prabhupada wrote 16.7, Gita 16.7 purport, that every civilized society has some set of scriptural injunctions. But he gives credit, but same time he criticizes that they're demoniac. Why? They kill cows. That's why. Slaughter of animals is very sinful, and a mechanized or mass slaughter. Maybe it's not mechanized, now it is, but previously it wasn't. But it was mass slaughter. You know, it's terrible. It's demoniac. So ultimately, in the ultimate analysis, these Western civilizations, they don't have much to offer. You can see the good. What you saw and what Prabhupada also wrote, it's called gunagrahi. You've heard this? Guna means quality, and grahi means to take hold, to see the good. The gunas means there's bad gunas also. There's bad qualities and there's good qualities. But when the word gunagrahi means to take the good, even, you know, to take gold from stool. Prabhupada gave that example. If you see gold in stool, well, you pick it up, it's valuable. You can wash off the stool. So there is some good in these, you know, modern society has some rules that are good. Don't steal or go to jail. Don't take drugs or go to jail. Like that. But they don't have the Vedic civilization. They don't have the Vedic culture. That's what Prabhupada wanted to establish. And, you know, chanting Hare Krishna was the beginning of that. Now, if his own followers are trying to contradict what he taught, that's a disservice to his mission. That's my point. There's another question. We've run out of time, but okay. Oh yeah, your voice is good. You're still in queue. You're still in the line. Yeah. Yeah, you're next and then.
I have a short question, so you won't have to give me the mic, because you'll know how to immediately answer it.
Yeah.
And we can be able to paraphrase it, so everyone will know, even online or wherever we have to be. But the question was, this is my short question. In ISKCON, is there a scope for permaculture and vertical farming?
Yes, of course. These things, you're not killing the animals, right? You're not killing the animals. How long can I sit here? Because you have another question.
Thank you. I'll just try to keep this short. One of my favorite analogies in the Bhagavad Gita says the body is like a machine. And on chapter 10, Krishna says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo mati sarvam pravatate iti matva bhajate mam buddha bhava samamvita. He says, I am the power source. Those who are wise connect to me. Just like any machine, a computer. Why is a machine attractive, a computer? Because it's connected to its power source. So we see that the great saints, they're always attracted because they're connected to the power source. Unfortunately, when we hear Vedic culture, this and that, but we see that these things are beyond our control. Just like you may tell a wife may tell her husband, my dear husband, it's Vedic culture, you should stay with me. Well, I'm sorry, I can't control my senses, I have to go. Or vice versa. And one pastime I'll mention is that in the pastime King Chitraketu, he tried to connect to a son. 10 million wives later, he finally had a son. And then the son lived, and then it died, and then somebody spoke through the son. And the son says, my dear father, instead of trying to connect to me, a temporary son, why don't you try to connect to Krishna, your power source? You know, so that's what we see, you know, in life. Oh, one marriage doesn't work out, let me get married. One marriage doesn't work out, let me get 10 million marriages. Until you finally get the sense to connect to Krishna, your true husband, your true wife. So my question is that these things are beyond our control. We could hammer it in our husband, our wife, in our friends. We see that people consider their friends, their husband and wife, their power source instead of Krishna. So what do you say to somebody who's going through a similar situation where I tried to tell my husband this is Vedic culture, I tried to tell my wife this is Vedic culture, but they left anyway. So what do you say to a person like that? Now I think this ran out of batteries.
Really? It's gone? No, it's still here. See, we can give general instructions, but specific circumstances we can't control. That's it. Simple. Another question? Sure. Oh, no, he's got a loud voice. It's okay.
Can the Vedic scriptures be adopted without changing the essence to certain culture? I'm afraid of getting all like homogeneous, kind of like very homogeneous kind of culture without respecting certain cultural values and cultural expressors that are important in every community. I cannot pretend to be an Indian. I'm just an Indian wannabe, but in essence I'm a Colombian.
Right.
I lived in the United States for 20 years and almost 2 months.
Right.
I'm not North American either.
Right.
You know,
Right. See, there's an ideal and there's the reality. My objection is to changing the ideals. Not the reality we have to accept. Right? Trump is president. Like my brother who is an fanatic hater of Trump. Obsessive hatred. But you can't change it. Similarly, when Prabhupada was there, Indira Gandhi was the prime minister. Prabhupada didn't like the idea that a woman be the prime minister. He wrote, in the Mahabharata, a woman was never a controller. But he went and he met Indira Gandhi. He was a sannyasi. But sannyasis stay away from women, but he recognized that she was the Prime Minister of India. So it's a reality. So I'm just saying that there's a lot of reality. We have to deal with meat eaters every moment in this country. You can't change it. No, ISKCON is indifferent. Whoever is in power, we deal with them. But sometimes you can't, like in Russia or China, it's very difficult. Russia is not communist anymore, but it's become totalitarian. And we are, it's difficult there because the popular mood is, Orthodox, Russian Orthodox Church. But somehow they're allowing us to go on. Now in China, they're also not repressing ISKCON. But you can't openly preach. You have to quietly preach. Now in Arabic countries, you can't change that there's kings, right? They may call them sheikh or sultan or whatever words are. There are different words for leader. And you can't go and change that. We don't have the military power to change. So you have to accept the reality. Okay. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hari Hari Bol. There's, the more you know, the more you come to know how little you know. So I belong to that category.